3 days. That's how long it took the US government to ban Anthropic's newest AI model after it launched. Not months. No regulatory process. 3 days after Fable 5 went live, the US government sent Anthropic a letter and told them to take it offline. Globally, immediately. And here's the part that is going to sound wild. The reason they gave was jailbreak. Jailbreak. Someone figured out a way to get around the model's safety guardrails, not by doing anything sophisticated, simply by asking it to read code and fix bugs. That's it. Now, if you use AI in your business, whether that's Claude, ChatGPT, or any of these tools, this story matters to you, not because your tools are about to disappear, but because of what it tells you about the environment we are building in right now. I am Hannah, and I run an AI automation studio, and today I want to break down exactly what happened, what a jailbreak actually is, and what you should and shouldn't do differently as a result. So let me give you the timeline because I think it's important. On the 9th of June, Anthropic launched 2 new models, Fable 5 and Mythos 5. These were their most capable models yet. Fable 5 in particular was getting a lot of attention because of how well it performed on reasoning and coding tasks. 3 days later, on the 12th of June, Anthropic received a directive from the US government. The directive cited national security authorities and ordered Anthropic to suspend access to both models for all foreign nationals. Not just outside the US, foreign national Anthropic employees inside the US as well. Anthropic complied within hours. They took both models offline globally, not just for foreign users, for everyone, because they could not quickly separate out who was a foreign national and who wasn't. And so the safest part was to pull the models entirely. By the time most people woke up on the 13th of June, Fable 5 and Mythos 5 were gone. Every other Anthropic model is still live. Opus, Sonnet, Ico, they are all fine. They are all still unaffected. So if you've been using Claude through the API, through Claude.ai, you're still on. You just cannot access the newest model. Anthropic also pushed back publicly. They said they disagreed with the directive. They called the jailbreak narrow and non-universal. They warned that if a government can a model 3 days after launch over a limited vulnerability, that sets a precedence that could freeze AI development across the entire industry. That is a serious statement from a company, and I think that they're right to say it. But let's talk about the jailbreak itself, because I think there's a lot of confusion about what the word actually means. A jailbreak in AI terms is when someone finds a way to get a model to do something it's not supposed to do. Every major AI model has guardrails, safety training that tells it, do not help with this, don't generate that, don't provide instructions for harmful things. A jailbreak bypasses those guardrails. Now, jailbreaks have existed since the early days of ChatGPT. Some are elaborate, some are embarrassingly simple. The AI safety community has known about this category of problems for years. What made the government act here is the specific nature of this one. The jailbreak for Fable 5 reportedly works like this. You ask the model to read a code base and identify and fix any flaws in the software. That's the completely normal coding request, but the way Fable 5 processes that task, the government claims it creates an opening where the model's safety constraints can be bypassed in the process. Anthropic disputes how serious this is. They say it is narrow. They say it does not work universally. It requires a specific setup and doesn't reliably unlock the things the government seem to be worried about. But here's what I think is really going on underneath all of this. Fable 5 is extremely capable, like measurably more capable than anything that came before it. And when a model is that capable, a jailbreak that might have been minor on weaker models become a national security question on a more powerful one. The government's concern isn't really someone can get Claude to say a swear word. The concern is, what can someone extract from a model this capable if the guardrails come off? That is a different question, and it is why this particular model got pulled when thousands of prior jailbreaks didn't trigger this same response. Quick one, if this is hitting right, subscribe. One video a week, all practical, no hype. Okay, so here's what I actually wanted to take away from this video. If you're a founder, a marketing manager, a consultant, anyone who uses AI tools, this is what I wanted to take out of this video. First, your tools are not going anywhere. The models you are using right now are still live. Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, none of them have been affected, at least not yet. This was a targeted action against two specific newly released models from one company. It was not a broad AI crackdown. So if someone in your team is panicking and saying, oh, the government is banning AI, you can point them to this video and let them know there's nothing to worry about. Second, this is a signal about dependency risk. Here is something I think about when I'm building automations for clients. The tools we use are infrastructure, and infrastructure can change without warning. Fable 5 was live for 3 days before it went offline. A lot of people had used it. A lot of people had tested it. 3 days. And if you had built a product, a workflow that depended specifically on Fable 5's capability, those 3 days will have been a very bad experience. So this is why I always build with fallbacks. If you are calling an API, know what you are falling back on if the model becomes unavailable. If you are relying on a specific tool, understand what the alternative is before you need it. This isn't scaremongering, it is just engineering. So things break, things get pulled. The business that handles that well are the ones that planned for it. Number 3, watch how these precedents develop. Anthropic said publicly that this type of action could freeze AI development. I think that's a real risk. Not because government is malicious, but because AI capability are advancing faster than regulatory frameworks. So that gap creates exactly the kind of reactive decision making that we saw this week. This probably won't be the last time something like this happens, which means that if you're building on AI, you need to follow this type of news. Not obsessively, but you should know what is really happening. If you are asking me whether you should change anything about how you use AI in your business because of this, my honest answer is no, not much to change. But here are the 3 things I would check. Number 1, are you using any AI tool in a way where you have no fallback if it disappears tomorrow? If yes, that's worth fixing. Not because of the specific situation, but as a general principle. Number 2, are you keeping up with AI news at a basic level? You don't need to follow every model release, but a story this significant, one that affects the tools that you use, that is worth knowing about in real time. I would recommend following a couple of good AI newsletters or channels so you are not caught off guard. Number 3, are you building or advising others to build on the very latest, most experimental models? That's the reason I tend to recommend production workloads sit on stable, well-established models rather than day 1 releases. This week is a good illustration of why. That's it. Those aren't dramatic changes. They are just good practice. So to wrap this up, the US government banned Fable 5 and Mythos 5 this week, 3 days after they launched. The stated reason is a jailbreak that the government believes creates a national security risk. Anthropic complied, but disagreed publicly and warned that this sets a dangerous precedent. Your existing AI tools are unaffected. That is, if you have not started building with Fable 5. The takeaway for your business is not to panic. It is to build with resilience. Know your fallbacks. Stay informed. Don't build critical workflows on day 1 model releases. If you found this useful, subscribe. I put one of these every week. The goal is always the same. What is actually happening in AI and what does it mean for people using it to run their businesses. I would like to hear your thoughts about this development. Feel free to drop it in the comments and I will respond to each one of them. And in the meantime, I'll see you again next week.